Plan your day and stay safe. From KCRG TV9, this is First Alert Weather Now.
And good evening and welcome to another week of First Alert Weather Now here streaming online for you. I'm meteorologist Corey Thompson.
And I'm meteorologist Hannah Messier.
And it's been a really warm stretch of weather over the last couple of days, today included, where we're back in the 80s for the second day in a row.
It's so sad that we're in the 80s at the end of October, Corey.
That's fair, but we will have some changes coming up, which we'll get into obviously with our First Alert forecast kind of in-depth look. And meteorologist Joe Winters has the forecast for fun too. We're also going to look back at, well, a different set of weather conditions that took place just about 27 years ago. Doing a little math on the fly there. Big snowstorm that affected a lot of folks here in the state.
It's hard for me to imagine a big snowstorm right now, Corey.
For sure. And as you're headed out this evening, far from snow, in fact, just warm temperatures and quiet conditions. But it's later tonight when we see our first chance for a few showers, the first chance that we've had in over 2 weeks here in eastern Iowa. Now, we're not talking about heavy rainfall with this, but the possibility of at least some is a hopeful sign after a really, really quiet stretch of weather. We will see that temperature drop, more to Hannah's liking perhaps, and many folks looking for a little bit of more fall-like feel to the air. But even that keeps us a few degrees above normal. It's later in the week when we have another chance for a shower, and even another one after that, which we'll get into more detail in the next 9 coming up too. Our satellite and radar view, though, of the state of Iowa shows most of us still staying dry here in this mid-evening hour. It's some showers just now barely crossing the Missouri River into far western Iowa, and then a little bit more where that came from behind that. In fact, if we look at a slightly wider view, more clouds, more showers, even a few storms in southern Nebraska. It's all with an area of low pressure that is hanging out right around this area and tracking to the east. Your planner over the next few hours involves temperatures falling relatively slowly into the 60s through the evening and then 50s by tomorrow morning. That shower chance arriving by about mid-morning. Would be interesting to hear some raindrops for the first time in a long time.
I'm excited to see that rain. The fact that we haven't had any legitimate rainfall in so long is kind of sad, but now it's back in the forecast and it's almost making me pretty excited. Yeah, I think it's actually going to be a sight that a lot of people would be happy to see for sure. Now, we've got a lot of events coming up this week. It's still a busy time of year. Meteorologist Joe Winters has that forecast for fun looking ahead.
A new week is here, and we're getting closer to Halloween, so there's lots of fun things going on. But the week began with some very warm conditions. Can you take the bike out the next several days? Well, Tuesday, avoid a morning shower. You should be fine. Wednesday and Thursday, stronger winds. You want to keep that in mind, and temperatures in the 60s. So the warmest certainly has passed us as far as bike riding weather for this week. Again, there's a chance of an early morning shower tomorrow with any of your fall activities that you have planned. 69 at noon and 72 degrees at 6 o'clock. The Witch Walk, Sip and Shop and Swisher, that happens on Thursday. Temperatures will fall from the low 60s into the upper 50s. There's a possibility there could be a couple of rain showers around. We'll watch that, but look forward to shopping, music, specials, food, drinks, and more in a spectacular gift basket you can register for. Haunted houses really are moving along right now. Thursday, Friday, Saturday, some of the more popular days to be at the haunted house, and that's across eastern Iowa. Many locations, 64 on Thursday, 69 on Friday, and 70 degrees on Saturday. Friday Night Lights comes up, and we have been 8 weeks in a row of good weather, and look at this. It looks like the 9th week in a row, and the final week of the football season, regular season, will look good. Game of the week this week on KCRG 9.2 on Friday, 7 o'clock. Keokuk visits Mount Vernon, 54 at kickoff, 47 in the fourth quarter, with northwest winds expected at 10 to 20. Again, we have a lot of fall activities going on, so get out outside, find some fun, because the forecast is looking good.
2 people are dead and dozens more are in the hospital after major flooding in the southwestern U.S. This is video out of New Mexico from over the weekend, where you can see lots of vehicles piled up along roads and under bridges here along a pretty main stretch. It looks like of a roadway out there. Obviously, they're not necessarily familiar with a ton of rain. The Roswell area was hit particularly hard after a historical amount of rain fell in just a few hours on Saturday. A number of homes and businesses are now flooded out, and floodwaters left dozens of people stranded in their vehicles or in buildings. This includes the local county sheriff, who actually got stuck in his squad car.
I am sitting on top of my vehicle, and a couple people who were walking through the water came and sat here with me.
Now, the National Weather Service says Saturday's rainfall hit 5.7 inches in that area, just edges out the previous record high set in November of 1901.
Now, your First Alert forecast with meteorologist Hannah Messier.
Fall foliage is beautiful out there right now. This is some pictures that have been sent in from viewers. Deborah sent in these photos from Guttenberg. You can see the vibrant reds and oranges on her pictures from Guttenberg. Ann M. Fry sent in this picture of a maple tree all red from Norridge Park. And David Miller in Independence sent in this picture of another maple tree that has turned red. It's one of the prettiest times of year in eastern Iowa when all the leaves change colors. On our Waverly City Cam, which is taking a few minutes to load, temperatures across the area are in the 70s. It's still pretty warm out there considering it is the middle to end of October. 73 in Cedar Rapids, 73 in Iowa City, and 72 in Waverly. There's that Waverly City Cam. Your first alert has rain highlighted on it because, as Corey mentioned, we're going to see some isolated to scattered showers possible really late tonight into Tuesday morning, with a few showers even possible to the mid to late parts of the morning, which will be kind of a new sight to see for us. We haven't had any legitimate rain in the area in so long. Now, the reason we're going to see that rain is because of a low pressure system situated over Nebraska and Kansas. It's going to provide the energy and moisture needed for rain to develop in parts of eastern Iowa tonight. Now, not everyone is going to see rain, but those scattered showers are what we're going to be expecting. So on our satellite and radar, we're starting to see some clouds move into eastern Iowa. These clouds are ahead of that rain. We're expecting that rain now just off to our west, now by Omaha, moving into the Hawkeye State. That rain will continue to move east over the next couple of hours, and then eventually getting into eastern Iowa. We have winds from the south ahead of the system headed into late tonight. So by 5 a.m., that's when the rain showers start to enter our western counties, being a little bit more widespread in our western half of the area. By 6 a.m., that moves gradually to the east. 9 a.m., still seeing those isolated to scattered showers in the eastern parts of our area, east of I-380 later in the morning. And then as we head into the afternoon, though, the system moves east and we'll be left with sunshine for Tuesday afternoon and clearing in the evening. Now, overnight lows in the 50s tonight, 53 in Fayette, 55 in Tama, and 53 in Washington, with winds out of the south around 5 to 15 miles per hour. In terms of temperatures tomorrow, still above normal, but not as warm as it was today. We're going to be in the 70s for tomorrow, 73 degrees in Dubuque, 73 in Elkader. Off to our northwest zone, talking the mid-70s, 76 in Waterloo and 75 degrees in Waverly. In our central zone, mid-70s are expected. And lastly, our south zone, 76 in Iowa City, 80 in Sigourney, though. That is still above normal for the middle of October. 61 degrees is where we should be. It will get cooler, though. We're going to see cooler conditions swing in Wednesday, but a better chance actually comes in Friday and into the weekend, a longer chance, a couple of days with actual fall-like temperatures, which will be pretty nice. That being said, as we look ahead in our long-term temperature outlook, October 28th through November 3rd, warmer than normal conditions expected as we end October and move into November. A little bit wet, too, in our long-term forecast for the end of the month, which is a little promising. We really could use more rainfall. Now, in our 9-day forecast, we have that rain chance for your Tuesday morning and tonight. Then we cool into the 60s for Wednesday and Thursday, still in the 60s on Friday, and into the upcoming weekend with overnight temperatures in the 30s, 40s, and 50s. It'll be kind of exciting. Thursday morning, 36 degrees, a little bit chilly.
Yeah, we get that chill again after we had a couple days over the past week or two where it felt that way. Nice to see. I think one thing to note about today's weather, 80s are super uncommon this time of year. This is probably the last time we're going to see them until next spring sometime. So if you didn't get a chance to enjoy this warmth, well, we got a couple more warmer days this week, but it is fleeting. It goes away eventually.
You know, I'm kind of ready for the 80s to be gone anyway.
I think so too. For sure, put the air conditioner away perhaps for the rest of the season. That would be a nice thing. It
would be very nice.
Now, think about this week, 27 years ago. Things looked a lot different around eastern Iowa on October 26, 1997. In fact, take a look at this. Here's some pictures, some video of snow that had fallen. And this is the aftermath of that snowstorm as electrical crews working on getting some of those utility lines fixed and some of those trees that were being weighed down by the snow. In fact, this storm system was a pretty significant one, unusually strong for this time of year and its overall widespread impacts. Yeah, that was October 26, 1997. So the anniversary is actually coming up on Saturday. Gosh, look at that. Yeah, this date, this week, rather, in our weather rewind, that system produced snow all the way from October into the Great Lakes, or rather Colorado into the Great Lakes, yeah, and parts of October too. Several inches of snow fell across the state of Iowa and did cause that damage. Now, here's a look at where the heaviest snow took place. A pretty good swath fell right across central Iowa. This dark blue area, 5 to 10 inches of snow. This lighter blue, about 3 to 5. So that impacted much of the TV9 viewing area. Wider amounts outside of that, all the way across Wisconsin, Illinois, well into Missouri. And look at this out here in Nebraska and down toward Colorado and western Kansas. 10 plus inches of snow, and some totals were significantly higher than that. So that caused serious travel concerns and a lot of unfortunate circumstances in terms of that damage, as well as a couple of reported deaths because of this storm system as it moved off to the northeast. Now, headlines of the day, Cedar Rapids Gazette. Front page after the storm moved through, they call it a fast forward to winter because it was a fairly warm October and those areas were moving through there. You can see that unfortunately, though, the big impact was from power outages across the area. And let's go to former KCRG TV9 reporter Dave Franzman. Spoke to people in Cedar Rapids at the time after losing their power during this unseasonably early snow.
If your electricity stayed on, then this October snow was probably a strange but pretty scene. Still, utility crews fixing broken lines and customers waiting for the power to return were not impressed by the combined fall and winter scenery. Iowa City resident Brian Gay even took matters into his own hands a bit by rigging up a portable generator to make do for a while.
We were able to cook on an electric skillet. We also ran the refrigerator, had some lights on and the furnace.
But Gay was the exception. For most people, it was simply a case of hurry up and wait for crews to get the lines back up and the power back on.
How much fun was that without any power? What'd you do?
Candles. Went out for breakfast this morning. That's about all you can do.
Now, for some of the utility crews, it was really a case of 2 steps forward and 1 step back. No sooner would they get one line repaired somewhere than another tree limb nearby would drop, and they'd start all over again.
That was certainly the case in Cedar Rapids, as the morning estimate of 1,000 to 1,200 homes without power didn't shrink a bit. Utility officials say the more main lines they fixed, the more problems they discovered at individual homes. But the Iowa City utility crews did make progress, whittling the list of homes without power there to under 400. Dave Franzman, KCRG, TV9 News.
Yeah, hard to believe considering where we're at right now. That system made that long swath of snow thanks to an influx of cold air. There was a particularly strong high pressure to our north, and just the overall atmospheric pattern allowed that to happen. Thunder snow was reported with it too, and that actually contributed to some heavier embedded snowfall totals within the state of Iowa. Now, as noted, lots of trees had lots of leaves, and that unfortunately enhanced the damage to those with the heavy wet snowfall that took place. Obviously still early season, it's going to be of the heavier variety. And those limbs both fell to the ground and fell on utility lines. Over 100,000 customers lost power at its peak, at least in terms of one of our major utilities here in the state, on millions of dollars of damage to trees, crops that were left in the fields, and utilities were all seen. Now, in terms of snowfall amounts, the heaviest totals were in central Iowa, Knoxville, 11.5 inches, Beaconsfield, which is down in southern Iowa, 11 inches. In eastern Iowa, Cedar Rapids got just over 4. Same in Dubuque, Waterloo, and Iowa City, but due to the heavy nature of the snow, it was enough to cause damage. Marshalltown checked in with 3.5 inches as well. Now, I think a lot of folks that were around at the time have some memory of this because, yeah, we've seen October snows the past couple of years. 2020 was a recent one that took place and had a couple of inches, but you pile more on top of that, and just the circumstances of that year really made it a unique event.
Sounds like it was a really cool event. I liked in the video, the fall leaves with the snow on top of it. I thought that was really pretty. Yeah. But earlier you mentioned that you remember that event specifically because you and your dad were going on a road trip.
I do, yeah. My cousin was getting married in Marshalltown, actually. That's kind of why I put that number there for Marshalltown. My cousin Amy, I believe that was her wedding. Gosh, yeah, it was. No, I'm 100% sure now. And so we left the next day, and I think we probably had our most harrowing snow drive, me and my family, all coming back on Interstate 80. Took it real slow and made it back. But certainly travel was a big issue. Think about all the major highways and all the big population areas. Des Moines, off toward Omaha and Denver, all those areas were snarled by the snow.
And it kind of makes sense that you'd get that heavier, wetter snow in maybe the earlier months because it's a little bit warmer, the atmosphere can hold more moisture, so maybe that's why this October snowstorm ended up being as bad as it was.
Yeah, I think that was a huge factor.
Yeah. Well, there's no snow in our next 9 days. Thankfully, I don't think we're quite ready for that, but there are a few 60s, which is going to be something we can look forward to. First, though, let's talk more about that rain that we are expecting on Tuesday. So on Tuesday morning, you'll likely need to use your windshield wipers during your morning commute because of those isolated to scattered showers that are expected to move through. However, as we head into the evening, in the afternoon, things will clear out. Now, looking at Wednesday, look at that. 64 degrees Wednesday afternoon. That means it'll be a great opportunity to head over to First Alert Brews to get some delicious pumpkin spice coffee, you know, with highs in the 60s. That actually is a bit appropriate to get maybe a nice fall hot drink there. And looking ahead to Friday and the weekend. For Friday, we're going to have temperatures in the 50s for Friday night lights with a mostly clear sky. Perfect fall weather for some high school football. And this weekend also looks very fall-like. Look at this, partly cloudy, temperatures in the 60s both Saturday and Sunday. That looks spectacular for pumpkin patches. It looks great for haunted houses, even just sitting outside enjoying the fact that it is not going to be in the 80s. I think that'll be just a great way to spend your weekend. And the 60s stick around into the beginning of next week too. So like you said earlier, Corey, it looks like fall is finally getting the message and knowing that it's turned to stick around.
Yeah, we're certainly going to get a lot closer as we head through the week, which I think, like you said, is a nice relief for warm weather weary folks out there.
It's the end of October. It's time for it to be done.
That's fair enough. Thanks for joining us tonight here on First Alert Weather Now. We will be back here again tomorrow night, same time, same place. Enjoy the rest of your evening.